Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today we'll be talking about something that maybe you were expecting. If you saw my first video, which was about my incredible Hulk collection, you knew that there were two titles that were still wrapped and I never opened before. And I'm talking about this one, the Return of the Incredible Hulk and the Trial of the Incredible Hulk, and this other one, the Death of the Incredible Hulk. So if you haven't seen that video, I would recommend you to go watch it. I'm gonna put a link somewhere here on the screen and down below in the description. But we're here now, so we're gonna be talking about these two movies. These two movies have been in the back of my mind for at least 10-15 years. I remember I was still living in Italy when I first learned about them, and I was reading about them in on Wikipedia and several websites. And my dad also had a blockbuster, yeah, almanac, I think they're called, or something like that. Basically, it would be like a catalog with all the movies from the late 70s or maybe early 80s up until the mid 90s. And those movies, alongside a few other ones, but I won't be mentioning them just yet. So those movies would be there, and it would always intrigue me because that one must have been in the late 2000s, so everybody knew who the Hulk was and that kind of stuff. But it seems like those movies were like buried in the past and forgotten. So, and then I also forgot about them for a very, very long time until one day I found this one in a lot on the Facebook Marketplace, and that kind of reignited my curiosity in these movies. So I ended up buying the other one on Amazon, and I've had them in my house for like months now, and I finally got around watching them. So today I'll be talking about these three movies. So be warned, there's gonna be a lot of spoilers. So if you're not into spoilers, maybe skip ahead towards the end or skip the video entirely. I have no idea. No, actually stay. Don't go, stay. I don't know. I don't know when a spoiler will be coming. It'll be just whenever I feel like saying it. There's no warnings. This is a warning. Okay, let me think. All right, so the TV show I think ended in. So these three movies are the continuation of a TV show, a TV show that was on CBS from the late 70s to the early 80s. I think from 77 to 82. And then these movies were basically made back to back from probably 88, 89, and 90. And they were kind of made as an attempt to a revival, but not so much for the Incredible Hulk TV show, but to launch different TV shows for other Marvel characters. So we'll get into it, but basically each movie introduces a new character. That's the basics basically. So the first movie takes place in 88, so that's already like a few years after the TV show ends. I have never watched the TV show, but from my understanding, you have Bruce Banner, which in this movie they actually called David Banner in this series, where, he lives with this double personality of the Hulk that he can't fully control, but is learning to control. And he moves from one city to a different city, changing, identity and trying to adapt to the new circumstances, and struggling with this gift, but also curse, and trying to help people the best that he can. So when this movie starts, it's been 2 years since he had his last transformation, so he pretty much has it under control. And he works in a research facility working on something called like a gamma radiation transponder, whatever that is, to try to separate himself from the Hulk once and for all. So everything goes smoothly, and he's having pretty good progress on his research up until one of his ex students shows up out of the blue, and I forget his name. I could look at my notes, but maybe not. I don't think it's that important. So basically, the student goes to him and tells him that he went in a trip in Norway, like one of those like Nordic places in Europe, and somehow he found Thor's hammer, so he can basically summon Thor whenever he feels like it. Um, and Thor in this version is not like a servant, but like he needs to do like some good deeds, because in this version Thor is basically banned from Valhalla for his behavior until he does some good deeds, and then I guess Odin will accept him back. Um, the problem is that even though this guy can summon Thor all the time, it causes him trouble. So he tries to separate himself fully from Thor. That's why he goes to Hulk. To David or Bruce Banner to kind of like work on this together and see if he has any tips, because he I think he figured out earlier 10 years ago that Hulk and David Banner are the same person. So one thing leads to another. Thor ends up angering David Banner, that eventually turns into the Hulk. And then there's a big fight in the research lab, and things get destroyed. And then, uh, amongst this, the other storyline, which then picks up again, is there's a team of mercenaries that want to steal the work that David Banner was working on, because that transponder, basically the main role of the transponder was to generate energy or something like that. But David Banner added those capabilities of eventually curing him. Um, and David Banner, so Hulk and Thor, they have to eventually become friends and team up to defeat the mercenaries. Pretty standard plot, but it's actually a very fun plot once you sit down and watch. The special effects are kind of funny, but I guess in some regards were very ahead of their time. And because they were technologically limited, I think they had to focus more on the drama side of stuff more than the action side of things. So if you're watching these movies from the current MCU eye lens, I think you could expect something totally different. But anyways, this TV movie did actually well in terms of ratings. It did very, very well, and that's why it prompted two more sequels. It was actually supposed to be the backdoor episode for a Thor TV show. So Thor was supposed to get his own TV show, but that never materialized, mostly because of cost. Because it would be very expensive to actually do justice to the character, and also because they already had to limit also some of his superpowers in order to keep the budget friendly. So it can't change the weather or stuff like that, and it can't fly. But it's still strong and resilient and that kind of stuff. So yeah, that was actually I really enjoyed that movie. So thumbs up for me. The other movie, the sequel, is The Trial of the Incredible Hulk. And I'm gonna tell you right from the get go, that is probably my favorite out of the three. because it introduces two main MCU characters, and it really feels like a street level Marvel slash MCU adaptation movie, TV show, call it whatever you want. Like if Marvel nowadays is serious about going back to their street level origins, I would say this is a probably a pretty decent um, point of reference. I don't think they should copy it because obviously it's been more than 30 years, so things have changed, but it's a good reference point in my opinion. So this one introduces a kingpin. They never call him by the name Kingpin, but I think they call him by his other name, Wilson Fisk. Yeah, Wilson Fisk. And basically, the plot is that David Banner, once again from the last movie, moves to a different place. And in this new place, he tries to keep a low profile where he just works a regular, just tries to work like a regular job, and he tries to keep to himself. But he's not aware that the city that he moved into, there is a high crime rate, and it's well, maybe knows, but who knows? But he doesn't know that at least the kingpin is behind all this crime, and there's also some ants. There is a vigilantes going around, and trying to make the best out of the situation and fix things up, which would be the Daredevil. The Daredevil in this adaptation, I would say, is pretty good for what it is. They changed a few things, honestly, for like look wise. They changed the color of the suit, whatever. Not a big deal. It went from red to black. And I think they changed a little bit of his mask. But as far as I understand it, the origin story is it's good. It's just in the comic books, and also his superpowers are great, and you just have to see it for yourself. I mean, they go a little bit into this background story to explain it, and I think they do like a good job at explaining it. And they also show like when he's training and that kind of stuff. And you also, little spoiler alert, you get to see things from his point of view. So like everybody knows, Daredevil can't see, but he has enhanced senses. So you can actually see like some of the stuff with like CGIs that is like is supposed to look at something, but it's not like a picture of it. It's like the CGI rendering of it, and it's pretty cool. I think at the time it must have been very fun. For now, like in 2025, we'd probably be like, whatever, I can do this on my computer. But back then it was different times, so I can see the appeal to it. So a little bit about the storyline. I'll continue. So basically, the Hulk, David Banner, he goes into the jail because he gets framed by some of the Kingspin men. Um, Matt Murdock slash Daredevil ends up being his lawyer, and eventually they'll reveal each other's identity and origins, and then they'll team up to basically um, avoid that Kingpin creates his syndicate of crime, basically his mafia, because his whole goal in the movie is that he wants to become the boss of bosses and have a syndicate of criminal organizations everywhere where he is the head. But in order to do so, he must show to the other people that he defeated Daredevil. So he plots to kill Daredevil. That's pretty much it. There's actually a lot more to the story, but I think it's something that you have to research yourself. But I think actually you don't have to research yourself. I think you have to watch it yourself to see what I mean. But it's a good movie. It's honestly it's a great movie for what it is, and I'm pretty sure you probably guessed it. This was supposed to be the backdoor episode to Daredevil TV show, which once again, just like Thor, it didn't happen. A lot of people online they seem to be saying the same thing, that it was the budget, they didn't have the capital resources to have a good show in the long run. But the TV show did so well that they decided to do another sequel, and that is the death of the Incredible Hulk. Um, I'm gonna say it right away. This is my least favorite out of the three. It's not bad, but I don't think it's as good as the other two, for the simple reason that it doesn't introduce any characters that are, the same level as Thor or Daredevil. They do introduce a female spy, like an Eastern European spy, which to me it's almost like a washed down version of the Black Widow, but they don't call her by Black Widow; they just call her Jasmine, and she's not bad, but I think it was a wasted opportunity where I think they could have gone full on with Black Widow and they could have made something cool out of it. I don't know why they didn't do it. Maybe this in their head was like ahead of their time, or maybe it was like a copyright issue. I'm not sure, but this is where we are today. The plot, I'll tell you something about the plot. The plot is it's very similar to the first one to some extent, and the second one, like, it gets a little bit repetitive. I think once you see the first one and the second one, then the third one, you kind of get the gist of what's going to happen. It's once again David Banner is trying to cure himself and separate himself fully from the Hulk. So in this one, he works um, as a janitor in like some scientific lab, and he secretly changes somebody else's work of a different scientist, and that scientist eventually catches on to it, and he realizes it is David Banner, the janitor, and they actually end up together because David Banner explains him about the Hulk and is very fascinated by it. So this scientist and his wife and David Banner, they all work together to sort something out, and things go well until Jasmine shows up, and she's a spy, and I believe her job that is assigned to her is to kind of steal their research so that they can use the research to create superhumans slash super Hulks, like an army of them. And then I'm pretty sure from the title you can see the gist of it. Like, Hulk saves the day, but ultimately he ends up killing himself. So that's it for the three movies, give or take. I think they're all fun and fascinating. Definitely fun if you watch them from, the eyes of somebody that was like living in the late 80s, early 90s. If you go watching them from today's lenses, you might find them outdated or boring or whatever, but keep in mind that those were different times where CGI was a novelty, so a lot of the effects are practical, as you can see, as you will see, and that's why they focus more on the drama side rather than the action side. And actually, I have a fun side note about the practical effects. So everybody knows, or well, at least the people that know the series know that Bill Bixby is the actor behind David Banner, and then Lou Ferrigno is the guy that actually plays the Hulk. It's not the same actor; it's actually two actors playing the two roles. And Lou Ferrigno tried to do all of his stunts, and he was training hard for the role. He had to, put up some muscle again after so many years of not playing it to make sure that it was as credible as possible. And in the second one, the trial of the Incredible Hulk, apparently was quite upset with the production team because they didn't let him lift the jury box, and instead they used hydraulics. A little side note, but it's fun because, I mean, it's not fun. It's interesting to me because it shows that even back then, actors, well, at least some actors, were trying to do their own stunts as much as possible instead of relying on other people doing the double stunt for them. So I always appreciate that. I'm a big Tom Cruise fan, so I appreciate him doing his own stance, and it makes me happy when I see that other actors are kind of like him to some extent. So that's always good. I think, if you like what you do, like, you understand it, you get it. So they were actually thinking about doing a fourth movie, but they didn't do it for different reasons. So the official reason is because the third one didn't do so well in terms of ratings. I guess people were having a fatigue, especially after being released year after year. And then there's also some rumors inside the production team that are saying that the fourth one never materialized because Bill Bixby, he was getting sick with cancer, so it was showing that it wasn't able to physically do it. Some people dismissed that theory. So the fourth one was supposed to be called The Revenge of the Incredible Hulk, and somehow they were supposed to resuscitate him. Uh, and there is some different rumors that I've heard. I've heard some rumors were saying that he was supposed to, like David Banner, wasn't able to transform into the Hulk again. Um, and then I've heard other rumors that eventually, and I think that's more accurate, where maybe originally he couldn't, but then he would be able to transform into the Hulk again. But the fun thing that I read is that he was supposed to be Smart Hulk, which is what we're getting a lot these days with Mark Ruffalo. If I don't remember his name this time. So I guess it would have been fun to kind of see like Smart Hulk back in the day. It would have been fun just to see how it would compare to today's standard, but we never got to see that, unfortunately. And I think he was supposed to work with the government, I guess, trying to replicate this Hulk gamma radiation so that they could make like super soldiers for the government this time instead. But I don't know. I guess it got canceled too early and the script wasn't very polished. But I actually have two more surprises for you. In this sequel, they were supposed to introduce two Marvel characters. The first one was She-Hulk. She-Hulk was actually supposed to be shown in the other three, but somehow she got written out, which is very unfortunate. I would have loved to see a She-Hulk from 30 years ago. I think that would have been so much fun, and to see how it would compare to today's standard. Both as She-Hulk and their alter ego. But unfortunately, that never happened. And then the next one would have been they would have introduced Iron Man. So that would have also been pretty fun. And like I said in the other video, yeah, like they were I don't know if it was intentional or not, but they were kind of pushing to make an early MCU universe back 20, 30 years ago. Maybe it was too ahead of its time, maybe it was like budget, maybe it was just the interest wasn't there just yet. It never materialized, I guess, to its full potential, but it's still pretty cool that we got a glimpse of it to some extent. And yeah, I mean, it's worth checking these movies out. They're hard to find though. Both of these DVDs that I have, they're out of print. So you can still find them on Amazon, but you'll end up paying a little bit more than you would normally pay for a DVD. But I don't think it's anything too exorbitant. I think it would still be pretty like it wouldn't be that bad. I don't think it would break the bank necessarily. The first two movies I think you can actually get on Blu-ray. I'm not too sure about it, but I think if you get the Incredible Hulk TV show on Blu-ray, you also get the first two movies. I have no idea why the third movie is stuck on DVD. I believe it's a copyright issue. So it seems like the last movie, the copyright owner might be different than the owner of the first two movies. And I think that's why, unfortunately, they're only able to bundle the first TV movies with TV show, but not the last one. So it is what it is. I don't own the TV show. I don't think I will, personally speaking. I'm happy with these DVDs. I think the first two DVDs are great because they have some fun special features with Stan Lee and whatnot. And I like the format ratio, which is a 4:3, which is the authentic one that it was shot in for TV. The last one, I don't know why, is 16:9, and it doesn't look all that great. I have to be honest, it looks a little bit stretched and grainy. I wish they kept it to 4:3, but it is what it is. So yeah, with that being said, I wonder if you guys knew about this three movies before, or if you just learned about them, or if it's just only recently that you guys learned about these movies. Let me know in the comments. Let me know if you watched them. Let me know if you have intention to watch them. And yeah, stay tuned for more movies like this one because I'm trying to get my hands on a different superhero movie that was made around that time, around the 70s and 80s. It's a little bit harder to find, so I might not be able to find it. I'll have to see, but if I do, I'll definitely make a video about it. And maybe if I don't, I'll just still make the video regardless because I think it's fascinating. But yeah, let me know what you think about these movies and what you think about older superhero adaptations and how do you think they compare with today's adaptations. I think that's fascinating. People always think that the new adaptations are better than the older ones, but sometimes I tend to disagree. That's just me. So yeah, like, subscribe, and share, and leave a comment down below. Thank you. Bye bye.